France's navy has intercepted an oil tanker in the Mediterranean Sea sailing from Russia, which it suspects to be part of the Kremlin's sanctioned shadow fleet.
Ursula von der Leyen's Commission survived on Thursday a vote of confidence in the European Parliament in Strasbourg.
Cleanup efforts are underway after Greece was struck by a heavy storm, which caused severe flooding in parts of Athens.
France's navy intercepted a Russian oil tanker in the Mediterranean Sea on Thursday in a mission targeting the Kremlin's sanctioned shadow fleet. Maritime authorities say the vessel, named the Grinch, is suspected of operating with a false flag. The French Navy said in a statement that they're escorting the ship to port to conduct more checks and conclusively identify the vessel. French President Emmanuel Macron, in a post on X, said his country is, quote, determined to uphold international law and to effectively ensure the enforcement of sanctions. The move comes just hours after Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky slammed Europe for its inaction in his address to the World Economic Forum in Davos. The Ukrainian leader namely used the U.S. seizing of Russian tankers as an example Europe should follow to further cripple Russia economically and end the war. Macron said the seizure was important as the vessel, suspected of belonging in the Shadow Fleet, quote, contributes to financing the war of aggression against Ukraine. The mission was conducted in tandem with the UK, which gathered and shared intelligence with Paris to facilitate the ship's interception. French military officials say the ship was flying a Comoros Islands flag and its crew is Indian.
The EU cannot be submitted to the neo-colonial behavior of the United States, Jean-Claude Juncker, who led the European Commission during the first Trump administration, told Euronews flagship program Europe Today. United States President Donald Trump addressed world leaders at the Davos World Economic Forum on Wednesday, while Trump later ruled out the possibility of a military attack on Greenland. He reaffirmed his interest in being more present in the region.
The European Union is cannot be submitted to a kind of neo-colonial behavior, that the European Union has its own honor and is respecting the US, but is not a slave of the United States of America.
Juncker urged the EU to be more assertive towards the US, showing it is ready to defend European interests.
A few hours after his speech in Davos, US President Donald Trump announced that he was abandoning plans to impose tariffs on 8 European countries next month. This U-turn comes as a relief to the European Union. But for the Vice President of the European Commission, the recent tensions with Washington mark a geopolitical turning point.
On est rentré dans un nouveau monde et je pense que ce sont des vrais partenaires, puisque ça reste des partenaires économiques, des partenaires géopolitiques, mais ce sont des partenaires concurrents aujourd'hui. Concurrents sur des marchés, puisque le président Trump le vit comme ça, et donc nous devons le prendre en considération, et concurrents aussi sur la scène géopolitique. Et donc il faut prendre cette dynamique et ce contexte comme il est.
Donald Trump suspends his tariffs as he mentions a future agreement with NATO regarding Greenland, and any military threat now seems to have been ruled out. According to Séjourné, the Europeans were able to stand together because the risk affected the fundamental values of the Union.
Je pense que de s'attaquer à l'intégrité territoriale d'un territoire européen et de s'attaquer à un principe qui est majeur pour nous, qui est l'autodétermination des peuples, fait que les Européens n'ont pas d'autre choix que d'être unis.
For several days, European leaders had been talking about a united and firm response.
Ursula von der Leyen's Commission survived on Thursday a vote of confidence in the European Parliament in Strasbourg. The motion of censure, filed by the far-right Patriots for Europe, was rejected with 390 MEPs against, 165 in favour and 10 abstentions. The vote was focusing on the signing of the Mercosur deal, arguing that the Commission failed to listen to farmers and citizens and overstepped its competencies in signing the agreement with Latin American countries. The motion was discussed on Monday in Strasbourg in an almost empty hemicycle, indicating the lack of interest in the motion. This was the fourth vote of confidence held in the Parliament during von der Leyen's second term as Commission chief. The previous ones in July and October last year also confirmed the Parliament's support for von der Leyen. Today's vote saw even more votes in favour of the Commission than the previous three.
A heavy storm hit Greece on Wednesday, bringing strong winds and heavy rainfall, which caused severe flooding in parts of Athens. In the Glyfada district of the Greek capital, many roads were covered in mud and debris. As the water gradually pulled away, many cars became stuck in gravel.
Βιώνουμε μια πρωτοφανή κατάσταση. Πρώτη φορά συνέβη κάτι τέτοιο στην πόλη μας, με τέτοια ένταση και με τέτοια ραγδαιότητα.
Municipal workers and residents came together to help clear the streets, while emergency crews used bulldozers to remove rocks and other debris.
Ξαφνικά ακούστηκε ένας θόρυβος σαν σεισμός και ήρθαμε, γιατί εγώ μένω μέσα στο στενό, ήρθαμε να δούμε τι έγινε και κατέβαζε ο δρόμος αυτό το πράγμα, μπάζα.
Όλο το βουνό κατέβηκε εδώ πέρα, ακριβώς όπως έγινε πριν από 15 χρόνια περίπου, ακριβώς.
The storm claimed the lives of 2 people. A Coast Guard officer died after being struck by a wave while urging fishermen to leave the harbour. Hours later, a woman was killed in an Athens suburb due to floods.
It is a record in Oscar history. Ryan Coogler's vampire epic Sinners led all films with 16 nominations to the 98th Academy Awards on Thursday. It broke the 14 nomination mark set by All About Eve, Titanic and La La Land. Paul Thomas Anderson's revolutionary saga One Battle After Another trailed in second with 13 nominations of its own. For Best Actor, the nominees are Timothée Chalamet for Marty Supreme, Leonardo DiCaprio for One Battle After Another, Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon, Michael B. Jordan for Sinners, and Wagner Moura for The Secret Agents. For Best Actress, the nominees are Jessie Buckley for Hamlet, Rose Byrne for If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, Kate Hudson for Song Sung Blue, Renate Reinsve for Sentimental Value, and Emma Stone for Begonia. The 98th Academy Awards will take place on the 15th of March in Los Angeles.
It's one of the latest additions to the Colosseum archaeological park in Rome. Thanks to EU post-pandemic recovery funds, it has recently been made accessible to the public. The so-called Passaggio di Comodo, an underground corridor, once linked the area reserved for emperors inside the Colosseum to the outside of the arena. EU funding proved crucial in completing the restoration and making the site accessible, including for visitors with reduced mobility.
L'integrazione dei fondi ordinari del Parco Archeologico del Colosseo destinati al restauro e alla riapertura di tutto il corridoio del Passaggio di Comodo hanno avuto un combinato felicissimo con fondi PNRR per 160.000 euro che ha consentito il superamento delle barriere architettoniche con quella realizzazione e progettazione prima ovviamente di questa scala che a noi piace chiamare magica, che diventa una piattaforma e che consente di scendere anche a questo piano inferiore.
Built after the construction of the amphitheatre and discovered in the 19th century, this secret passage once offered the emperor privacy and discretion. A complex restoration carried out in an underground environment that brought back to life precious artifacts. And where the original vaults are missing, a special lighting system has been used instead. But the passage doesn't end here. A second phase of works is already planned.
Il nuovo intervento di restauro ci consentirà di recuperare altri frammenti molto importanti di stucchi e di affreschi che si sono conservati sicuramente anche nelle loro decorazioni.
Il parco archeologico del Colosseo è il luogo più visitato non soltanto dai turisti ma anche dagli italiani e i piani per i prossimi anni sono davvero ambiziosi. L'idea è quella di dare nuova vita a questo luogo rendendolo accessibile al pubblico ma soprattutto organizzare qui numerosi eventi, davvero un luogo chiave della vita culturale della capitale. Giorgia Orlandi, Euronews. Roma.
At this point in time, it is now officially the oldest known cave art in the world, which is really cool. This is a really exciting finding to find hands this old. But as you said, that timing is either really early humans were in that cave making hands, or potentially Denisovans were making hands before the humans got there. One of the things that's really cool about this article is it's really clearly flagging that region is vastly understudied, and there is probably much more ancient art waiting to be found there.